Hello, everyone. Welcome to Abnormal Investigations. We're trying something a little different tonight. I want to make sure all of y'all can hear me. Can everybody hear me okay in chat right now? That's the number one thing to make sure everyone can hear me. All right. I've been fighting flies. Can you believe it is January and we actually have flies? We had the windows open today because it was so nice out. The grass is turning green. We might have to be mowing in January. We got flies in the house. Can you believe there's actually flies in January? That's really blowing my mind. I can't even believe it. I don't know. It's been a weird year. Went down to the lake today, and while I was at the lake today, I noticed that the pelicans they did not move on this year. So everything seems to be kind of I don't know, kind of mixed up. I guess they're just not cold enough for them to move on. Looks like we got a few people in here tonight. Everybody came over. Lisa Ann. No, I have not heard from Randy. Last I knew, I guess I could go ahead and give an update on Randy. A lot of people's asked about him. The last I knew about Randy is I had spoke with him, and he was having some family issues going on with some of his family, one of his family members. I know Randy and his wife were fighting the flu, and they were asking for prayers for that. But he also had a family member that was very sick, and he was asking prayers for that family member. So that may be the case. He may be just stepping back, taking a break. He did mention to me that he would be taking a break. So that's the last I've heard from him. I have sent him some messages. I haven't heard anything back, but I did reach out to him and have not heard anything from him. So hope everything is good. He'll get everything worked out, and he will end up back with us. That is the hopefully the goal. So, what do y'all think about the new live tonight? Do you all like this better than you do when we go on StreamYard, or do you like StreamYard better? I cannot throw up your messages on this one like we can on StreamYard, and also I'm limited to what I can do here. Like if Jesse was going to come on, we would have to do it on the cell phones. YouTube's pretty weird about their streaming services, but that's okay. So that's pretty much all I know about him right now. Um, but again, hoping everything is fine. So, is everybody ready for a little bit of some boots on the ground? Hello, Martin. Good to see you. Who we got in here tonight? We got Emmy Tung in here tonight. We got Jesse C moderating. We got Michelle McGuire in here. We got Martin. We got Grace in here. We got Lisa Ann moderating. We got Scared Silly's here with us tonight. Good to see you, Scared Silly. Scared Silly show tonight. It shouldn't be that scary tonight. What's in store for tonight? Corey, we have an encounter that was sent in. And hello, Barbara. Is that Barbara? That's Barb. Yep. Keith, good to see you. Blue Bitty, good to see you. Diana, good to see you. Gary, good to see you. Kentucky Lady Cat, good to see you. Um, I had an encounter sent in to me. I wanted to share with you guys. I've never heard of one like it. It comes in from Texas. Um, hello, Flake. Good to see you. I hope I said that right. But yeah, Gary Carpenter, Grace, and it's a pretty wild encounter. Another thing I had come in that I'm pretty excited about also is I spoke with a man a while ago, and we have a new place to go do some boots on the ground. Had a pretty wild sighting. I know that a lot of you all are very interested in Sasquatch. Hello, Jenny. Good to see you. Good to see you, Jen. Uh, so the guy gave me an encounter tonight, and he was telling me that he was down in his RV. at a location, and I know a lot of you all are into Sasquatch. And he had an outside camera placed on his RV while he was out there tonight. And not tonight, when he gave it to me, he was telling me about it. And he said that it caught an image of a tall, what he called a creature standing by the lake. Now, he said it was about 8 foot tall. He got a pretty good silhouette of what it looked like. He shared the photograph with me. We talked about it a little bit. Then he ended up dropping me a pin drop as to where it's at. Hello, Nancy. Hello, Infinite Seven. Hello, Tony Johnson. And whenever he dropped the pin drop to me, I was like, that is not real far from me. So, guess where we're going to go on the next Boots on the Ground? We're going to go see if we can have this encounter with this Sasquatch, or at least maybe find some evidence. It's in a pretty wild place. It's where he was camping at. There's a pond behind him where he was staying at. And he said it sounded like it came from the pond, went past his RV, and then down to like a little peninsula on the lake where it pokes out into the water. So it sounds like there could be a whole lot of walking involved in this investigation. He said you can't drive the whole way because the sand is really, really uh, loose there. He almost got stuck getting in and out of there. He said it's still a little wet down there, but I think with the 4-wheel drive Durango, we can get down there. Hunter said it would get me anywhere I needed to go, and I trust Hunter, so should be able to get in there and do whatever we need to do. Um, let's see. Do we have anything else going on? Let me check one thing. Um, I think that's everything he was telling me. He just said that whenever they went in there and went to sleep that night, they did hear it yelling. They heard it whooping. And his wife says she saw it walk up to the kitchen window and was trying to look in the window at her. So it was a pretty crazy thing for them. They wasn't used to seeing it. So we're going to go down there and we're going to see exactly what happens. I don't expect this to be a long live tonight. Like I said, I'm just going to share this encounter with you. I want to put it out there to you and kind of see what y'all thought about it. So, unless anybody has any questions, we will jump to the encounter. And the boots on the ground will be coming up soon. We will be scheduling that, so y'all will see that come out. Just keep a watch on the page, and you should see it come out on the page. So, the encounter. Let me pull this down real quick. Hopefully, I don't mess anything up. Hopefully, not. There we go. Hopefully, y'all can still see me. Okay, we're just letting YouTube catch up a little bit. So, the encounter I have for y'all tonight is one like I've never heard before. Now, I know I've seen some things at my granny's house. I've never told y'all everything about it, but this one here is pretty crazy. I am going to put a warning on it for a lot of y'all. I know that you always say if it's going to be bad, Mike, please warn us. So I am going to warn you. There is something that happens in this one that is probably not something that a lot of y'all want to hear. So the gentleman that sent this in, his name is Jim, lived in Texas. He's just across, actually, the southern part of Oklahoma was into Texas, is the area that he's in. And let's get into it. He says, Mike, I want you to know that I've seen something. I saw something that's not even supposed to exist. I don't even know how to tell you what it was, other than it looked like a grasshopper man. Later in my encounter, I think you will understand why I say it was a grasshopper man. It really, really scared me. And I hope that I never see anything like this again. It has changed mine and my wife's. life, as I could only imagine seeing something like that would. He said, I'm still trying to process it. And now this happened, he said, over a few months ago. And he said, I want to share this with you because on my investigations, he said, he's been hearing things that has really bothered him. In fact, the other night, he said he was watching my show and he had to stop watching my show because some of the noises that he started hearing, he said, were in fact the noises that he heard at his Texas place. And he said, I was hoping and praying that I was not going to see what had caused me to have to move. But he said, I was hearing the same things, and I think that your audience will also recognize the noises as to noises that we hear on your show. So he said it started one night whenever he was sitting on his front porch. He said, I like to sit on my front porch sometimes and just enjoy a cup of coffee and a cigarette. He said, while I was sitting out there, I started hearing this weird sound. He said it was this weird clicking sound. He said it was kind of like a large cricket. And he said, I sat there and I thought at first it might have been just the wind or some kind of critter in the field. But then it moved to right above my head. I started hearing it above my head, he said. And he said, I'm talking right above me, Mike. It was like nothing I'd ever heard before. It was heavy, deliberate, and it felt like it was getting closer and closer to me. He said, I actually started to wonder what in the world kind of bug or critter has walked up here. I've never seen anything out in these woods that scared me. I've lived in the woods all my life. I've lived in Texas all my life. And here in Texas, you hear a lot of things. And you see a lot of animals, armadillos, mostly deer, rats, the normal thing, probably the things that you see whenever you're out doing your thing. Now he says, I was hearing a lot of clickings and I couldn't understand what it was. And I've heard those in your show too, Mike. And they're nothing like what I've heard in your show as far as your Geiger counter. I know a lot of people are going to try to blame it on the Geiger counter. I've heard both, Mike. I've heard your Geiger counter go off in your show, and I've heard the clicking of this creature, whatever it is. So, anyways, just to let everybody know, I know the difference, he said. Now, it was a loud sound, and I looked up, Mike, because I could hear what sounded like wings flapping. And I'm talking like these wings were really flapping, kind of like what I heard the other night in your show. That's why I'm sharing this with you. I looked up, and I don't even know how to describe what I saw. This thing was hovering there, just over the porch. And whenever I turn on the porch light, I have a lamp that sits outside of our yard. It looks like a pole light from the old days. And when I turn on the porch lights, it also lights up. So when I turned on the porch lights and I looked up, I saw the creature just above the light. And oh my God, it was impossibly weird looking. This thing looked like a giant bug. I at first, when I looked up, I thought it was a bug or a crane or something, but then I was like, oh my God, this thing is way larger than anything like that I've ever seen. And then it landed right in front of me in the yard. It was about 4 foot tall. It had impossibly long legs and a body that looked like it was made of some kind of a dark grasshopper skin. It was these massive black eyes that really caught my attention. When I looked at it, I could see myself, the porch, and where I was sitting in the house all reflecting in its eyes. It was staring at me, and I could see me in its eyes. It just sat there looking at me, making that clicking noise. And then its wings came from behind its back, and it lifted off into the air, and something hit me in the face. It was hot, warm, and it burnt my eyes, and I couldn't see, and of course I panicked. I turned, grabbing the railing to my porch, gnawing my way up the 2 steps and then in through my front door. I slammed the door and I locked it. I was absolutely afraid that I was going to be blind. I was panicking. I could feel stuff all over my face. I thought, did this thing just puke up acid and spit it in my face? Am I going to lose my eyes? Am I going to go blind? And is it going to come in and eat me? I ran to the bathroom, trying to wash my face. And as I washed my face, I noticed my hands were covered in this green film. Almost looked like somebody had chewed up a bunch of lettuce with a lot of snot in it and had spit it right in my face. I wasn't sure what it was, but God, it burned and it was so sticky, and it was even starting to get all over my shirt. I couldn't get it off my face. It's like it had actually stained my skin. I have no idea. It was so weird, but it had a smell of a freshly cut lawn. It smelled like right when you cut your yard. It had that grass smell, Mike. It's hard to explain what it actually smelled like, but it burned and it hurt. I can tell you that. And I was blinded for a bit. After I got it washed off my face, I changed my clothes, throwing them directly into the washer, not knowing exactly what I had just dealt with or what the hell had even happened. The weird thing is that it didn't attack me. I mean, it had the perfect chance to attack me. I couldn't see. I was disoriented. I was burning. I was hurting. And yes, I was panicking. And I'm sure hyperventilating. I was scared. But I still remember myself, seeing myself in the big eyes, knowing that this thing must be able to see at night. And then it started making this clicking noise again. This time, it was outside my window. I was standing at the kitchen sink, and I could hear it clicking, like it was communicating or something. I was frozen in fear, and at the same time, I was fascinated as what could this be? I couldn't do anything at that time. I just turned around and started to walk to the front room, trying to ignore whatever it was. But the clicking sound, it kept echoing in my mind. I couldn't shake this fear that it was watching me. But the weird thing is, the clicking in my head had made me dizzy. I became disoriented. I almost fell into my chair. It's like it was inside of my head, kind of like if a bug was to get in your ear. It was weird, like something was gnawing on my eardrum. Hard to explain, but I had lost my balance. I sat in the chair. I was dizzy for a moment, to the point where I almost felt like calling my family. I was scared that something was happening to me. I fell asleep in the chair and I woke up. Now, the next few days, they were quiet. Nothing else had happened. It got really, really quiet. I thought maybe whatever it was had moved on, and now I didn't have to worry about it. The next few days were a blur. I tried to go about my daily routine, but I kept looking over my shoulder, expecting to see this thing again. I barely slept, and when I did, I had these vivid dreams that it had planted eggs in my ears and that the babies were hatching inside of my ears and they were eating my eardrums. I had blood coming out of my ears, my nose, and my mouth, and they were eating me from the inside. I would wake up with my heart racing, and I'd think I heard that clicking sound again every time that would happen to me. But it wasn't just the dreams, it was a feeling of being watched. I'd be out in the field doing my chores, and I'd feel like something was lurking just out of sight. I'd spin around to try to catch something, but there was nothing there. I'd try to tell myself it was just my imagination, but deep down I knew it wasn't. My wife, she even spoke of while doing the daily chores at the house that she felt watched. She said she felt as if something was always there, that she was never alone. It was then it got worse. There was a night whenever it came up to the house. We could hear it, my wife and I both, as it walked around the house. It was scratching on the side of the house. We were terrified, actually, very scared. It then started coming up to the windows, and we could hear it pecking on the windows, as if somebody had took a fingernail, not a hand, but it was pecking on the windows. My wife, too afraid to open the blinds, and begging me not to, we laid in the bed with the shotgun. The sounds went from around the windows from night to night and around the house to one night whenever the things got worse is whenever it started trying to get in the doors. You could hear the doorknobs turning and turning and turning. Yeah, Kentucky Lady Cat, they sent this in as a true encounter. I heard it try to get in the door, and that's whenever I panicked along with my wife. Now, the worst night, and the night that really made us decide that it was time for us to change, maybe even time for us to move. I seen it one night looking in the bathroom window while I was in the shower. We have a small window just above the shower. Sometimes I would crack it when I would take hot showers to let the steam out. When I looked up at the window, that's when I saw it. I will describe it the best I can. It had a small man's head. He was actually wearing it. Looked like a round circular hat. He was looking right at me through the windows with those large black eyes. And the one thing that I noticed that was really off about him was his mouth. His mouth was not like that of a human. His mouth looked like a overgrown grasshopper mouth. And yes, he had the green stuff running out of his mouth down off of his chin. I panicked and I ran to the bedroom. The next day, after me and my wife had woke, I found that green stuff all over the back porch. The back porch was soaked in chewed up grass, chewed up just leaves and everything else, debris. It was so nasty, you could smell it. Then I went to the barn. When I went to the barn, this is whenever I saw the thing that broke my heart. At first, my wife had walked into the barn and she started screaming, causing me to almost jump out of my boots. I ran in there expecting to see this creature standing there with my wife in its arms, but that's not what I saw. But it was just as bad. There, laying in the middle of the barn, was our barn cat we'd had for 6 years. It had been chewed up. It looked like it had actually put it in its mouth and had chewed it with the grass. The cat was mangled, chewed into a ball. It almost looked like bubble gum that had had grass chewed into it or spinach. The cat was just shredded, chewed into a ball, and then spit out on the ground as if it had chewed the innards out of the cat and got all the juice out of it, kind of like you do gum when you're trying to get the best out of the gum. That's the best I can explain it. And it spit it onto the floor. That night, my wife and I decided to move, and we now live in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We moved from that place, and yes, it did sell. We told the owner what had happened. He didn't believe us, but at least we were upfront with him, Mike. I've seen many of your shows where you said people need to be upfront and honest whenever they sell a place. That way, people know what they're getting into. We pray we never see it again. So that's what was sent into me, guys. I have never heard of anything like that in my life. Okay. Um, I've seen some things that were not Bigfoot, that were not Dogman. I've seen things that I can't even explain what I saw. Uh, you know, I've heard, family members have seen things, the little pig looking baby that ran off into the field, the thing that looked over the top of the house that had no bottom chin. There was the werewolf at the back of the house, the front of the house, beside the steps. There was so many things that was seen down there, but I'd never heard of anything like that. My granny had said a long time ago. She said, Mike, these things they fly, and I was like, oh my god, thinking about something flying really scared us. Ellen Smith says, I haven't heard of that exactly, but I've heard of something called the praying mantis, which probably what he was describing. Yeah, I could see how he would get that confused. Uh, we did hear it on top of the house at Granny, on top of her house a lot. So was it landing up there, not climbing up the trees? I think that's possible. If these things are flying, that really gives a whole different kind of a feeling as to what is really out there. I mean, most people when they're walking, they don't look up. They look around, but hardly ever look up. And it makes you wonder, is that how these things move away from us and then they disappear? Do they run out there and then do they fly off the ground? That would be crazy. Uh, Jenny says there is a mantis man encounter on Monsters and Mysteries in America. Wow. See, I wonder, Jenny, if that's what he got confused with. If he ran into the same thing, and maybe a grasshopper was like the best way he knew how to maybe describe it. That is very interesting. We'll have to look into that Manus thing and see what we can find out about it. That would be really interesting. But I seen things. I don't know. Jeepers Creepers was or is a real life thing. I've always wondered that. Tyler, I think there is part of Jeepers Creepers that was real. I think it actually I watched it on one of those true mystery channels. It wasn't actually a monster, but it was a guy that was burying, I believe, his wife at a church or something like that. Amanda. Did it have a tail of a scorpion? He didn't mention a tail. He mainly said that it lift, but it was dark also. He said it was in the dark. Yeah, Michelle's right. When God did create the world, everything was a lot larger. So are things starting to come around full circle? I mean, we know that there's nothing new under the sun. So is that what's happening? Are they coming back? Are they, you know, are we going to start seeing more and more and more of those things? I think that we are because I know when I'm going out, like the other night, whenever I was doing the boots on the ground. Okay, we'll talk about this, and I'll get your all's opinion on it because I kind of been wondering about this myself. So here we go. So we have these people following me around and they're stalking me and everything. So we're going to yeah, Kentucky. That's true. So we're going to these areas we know are hot spots or where people's had encounters or where we know encounters have happened, okay? But we also know we have this human interference that's happening by the trolls that are following me and trying to scare me and stuff like that and leaving things. So my question is if these are part Nephilim, demonic creatures, and then like last night when I walked that bridge, whoever was being, trying to scare us or whatever, they put a candle down there and then a 5 point star, right? So if you got a bunch of people doing dumb things in an area where these things are already at, is that going to cause them to concentrate more in that area? Because now not only do you have a hot spot, but you've got people going to this place now participating in putting 5 point stars and candles and making a form of, you know, ritual for these creatures. Because if you remember, they started doing it on the circles that we found when Sarah and I first found them. These people started putting snake eggs on them, and they was doing their little drawings and putting their little trolls on there. And you remember, it really got out of hand for a while. And if then people are doing that, would that cause these things to be more interested in that area? Yeah, Martin, that laugh the other night was really crazy. I was ready to start heading out of there whenever that started happening. And Timothy, yeah, we did have a lot of EVPs. You know, whenever I was getting ready to leave, I was on the phone with Jesse, and Mom ended up actually calling me, and I had to get off the phone with Jesse because Mom, yeah, I got in trouble that I should. He thought I should have left earlier. They didn't like that I was pushing, but I felt like I wanted to see if I could find it. Dana, you missed the story. Oh no, you're gonna have to rewatch it. But good to see you, Dana Ortega. Always good to see you. But Mom was like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Whenever you got hit with that, why did you not leave?" And honestly, I wasn't sure if something hit me. I thought even when it happened that part of that had fell and hit me because most of the debris was up here. And when it fell and hit me, it was just like it hit me up there. So I wasn't real sure that something had threw something at me. It was enough that it was kind of scary that I was ready to back up and start finding my way out of there. But it wasn't like it came directly into me, right? If it would have came directly into me and hit me, I would have left, right? I wouldn't have stayed. Um, I have a rule that if it starts getting to where I think I'm going to get hurt or something, I'm going to leave. Now, if I have Kaylee with me or Sarah with me, Of course, I will leave it a little earlier because I want to make sure they're safe, right? I don't want to put them in any more harm than what they have to do. Aussie Alley, good to see you. Mike, you might need to see if you have an attachment. Yeah, Aussie, a lot of people have thought that. I don't have any attachments. I pray before and after I leave. I wear the armor of God everywhere I go. But I I do believe that there is things out there, and I believe that there's a connection. I do believe that you have the demons that are connected to these through the lineage of the bloodline, and because they're hanging out with each other, right? I mean, families hang out together, and I'm sure they visit, and I'm sure their visits aren't like our visits, but I'm sure they do visit, and it's probably how are we going to scare somebody, hurt somebody, and how are we going to get somebody if the opportunity arises, and so forth, so on. But you know, they say about 25% of people that have a cryptid encounter will have a supernatural encounter later on. So to me, that shows a pretty good connection between whatever these things are. Um, like tomorrow night, I'm releasing a live premiere to you guys. It's going to release at 8 o'clock tomorrow night. No, y'all have not seen this one. It was a members only, and I spoke to Jesse about it, and we decided to drop a to drop it for you guys. And it's a true story that happened in my area. It happened a long time ago, and it's about a young kid that actually ended up leaving with Sasquatch and never returned. Now, I did get in touch with a guy that knows the story, knew the family, and he's given me a location. He said where I could go and possibly encounter this, what is now an older man that is still living down there. So we may do that one night. So tomorrow night you can join us in chat. The chat will be live. We'll all be live in the chat, and you're not going to want to miss that one. That's going to be a really, really good one. I was told that story as a child growing up. That he had some mental issues, and he ended up leaving with this Sasquatch. And back then, families guess weren't maybe as strict as they are now as far as allowing kids to play in the woods, and he just stayed longer and longer and longer, and he pretty much started telling everybody, it did hit me hard, Kentucky Lady Cat. It did. It was a hard hit. It hit me right on top of the shoulder. um, Probably would have killed a normal guy, but I just pretty much brushed it off and was ready to do what I had to do, hands on, if it needed to be done, but not really. But yeah, it did hit me pretty hard. But Colonel Cornman is deceased. What's he going to hit me with? His I must have missed something in there. Uh, I do get a lot of them that do follow me. It seems like they like to parallel me, and I think that happens to a lot of people that are hood thing. You're abnormal, Mike. Hood thing. Oh, good thing I'm abnormal. Okay, sorry. I forget a lot of us don't have a very good education in here, so I'm trying to keep up. But yeah, we got a boots on the ground. I'm going to be scheduling it. We're going to go down there where this guy had this RV encounter. I know you guys will be excited for that. Tomorrow is going to be a really good live premiere. Don't miss it. You'll get the full story. We're going to go ahead and put it out so y'all can see it. Uh, hey, Mousy. But yeah, it's exciting. Jesse knows the story. I believe she was there for the members when we done it, and it's just one that I grew up with. And I was told that when I was like 12, 13 years old, and everybody around knew the story and told me the story. It was it's really interesting story what had happened the other night. Uh, I don't know if y'all heard it, but right toward the end, when we were getting ready to leave, did you all notice that laugh in the background sounded just like the laugh that yelled back at Kaylee that night and was talking to her? Did y'all notice that? I noticed that sounded just like that laugh that Kaylee had happened to her that night. And I was like, is that the same thing? Because I was only about not even probably a half a mile from where that happened to Kaylee. So Kind of makes me wonder if that was the same thing running around in there. They do cryptos of all kinds. You should check it out. IP hello. Uh, but guys, I just wanted to share that one with you. We're doing a short one tonight. We'll do longer breakdowns coming up. A lot of y'all have asked me to start redoing the breakdowns of the boots on the ground. Inner Psychic, good to see you. And I wanted to share this with y'all to see how many of y'all heard a creature like that. I've never heard of it, but I thought, you know what? I bet some of y'all out there have heard, you know, something like that. I've never heard of a creature like that, but it kind of feels like old times coming on here alone, telling y'all a story. I used to do this a lot. If y'all like these little short ones, I've got a lot of them I could come on and tell that are like 40 minutes long, maybe an hour long. We could do more of these if you like it. We'll do more breakdowns. But guys, I want to thank y'all for being here tonight. I hope to see y'all tomorrow night at 8 o'clock in the live premiere. Mousy, we will do that. And we'll try to drop more of these shorter ones to get them out of the way and do some more breakdowns. Thank you all for being here tonight. Moderators, thank you for being here tonight. Love you guys. And remember, keep your head on a swivel. You don't want to be something's dinner. And tomorrow night, join us, and we'll be scheduling that boots on the ground soon. We're going to head out there and see if we can see that Bigfoot, guys. I'll probably use the photo he sent me as the thumbnail to the boots on the ground coming up. So we'll see you soon, guys. Be careful. Love you guys. Thank you for the support. And smash that like button on the way out. We'll see y'all in the next one.